So now, in the last three classes, we have learned what is HANA and in what are the different use cases we can leverage HANA. And we also seen why is it so fast and what are the innovations from the software side and what are the innovations from hardware side, which is making it fast. And different components, like say, what all flexibilities can be implemented with SAP, like processing of unstructured data with text analysis or developing your custom applications, predict analytics functions, ready-made functions available, and data provisioning flexibilities, integrating real-time replication service with SLT, integrating BODS to HANA, or it's an in-memory database. You've seen all those flexibilities, what can be performed with SAP HANA. Now it's that now we would like to start getting into the system and start working on to SAP HANA. Okay. Now look at this. Now let's say, so when I want to start working on to SAP HANA database, I need to install this database, right? I need to install this database in a server and then start getting and get connected to the server and start working onto it. Now if you look at this, this is the point. This is how it works. So when I want to install the HANA database, first I need to have a system with minimum 32 GB RAM, minimum. That's a minimum RAM required. So this is, let's say, HANA server. And when you would like to see, whenever you would like to install any applications, you first install your OS and then you go about installing your software, right? For HANA server, you install SUSE Linux, which will be your OS, and then on top of it, you install your HANA database. So you'll have SUSE Linux, and on top of it, you install your HANA database. Now, when you basically install HANA database, if you remember, for most of the SAP applications, it have a system ID, like say BWP, DW, they'll have some 3-digit number. Same way, even when you install HANA database, it will have something called system ID. Like say, for me, it is SP9. I'll have a system ID called SP9, and my server, the server system is SAP Cubex. Is my server. This is my host name. That's his system name or server name in which I've installed my HANA database. Now this is how it is. You'll have SUSE Linux OS, and I've installed HANA database. And the system ID, when I install it, asks me the 3-digit system ID, and I've installed with what SP9 as the system ID. So I've got HANA database installed in SUSE Linux. This is my server. Okay. Now, so this is my server bus. Now, do you log into server and start working on it? In the real time or in any client environment, do you basically log into the server? You don't get connected to the server system. You'll be working on a client system, and then from the client system you get connected to the server and start working on it, right? Let's say this is my client. Let's say you have your client system. So the client end, you would not have Unix bus. You will have what? You will basically install what? Windows, 2008 or 2010, whatever it is. You'll just have normal Windows. Yeah. Now, from this Windows system, you'll have to get connected to this HANA server and then start work. You'll have multiple clients. Like say each developer or end users, all of them would be your client systems, which basically log into your HANA server. Okay. Let's say I've got my HANA server there, and this system is going to be client for me. I'm going to install all the necessary software which is required to get connected to my HANA server. Like if you know about MS SQL Server, you install Management Studio, and then you start working on to SQL Server data. Same way, if it is HANA, we have to install something called HANA Studio. We have to install what is this? We have to install a software called HANA Studio. Now, in the client system, we're going to have HANA Studio to get connected to this HANA database and then start working on it. This is the concept. we will not be worried about installing HANA server. On HANA database, మనం install them as a modeler or as a consultant. We don't do that. But provided, let's say there is an HANA database server is being set up. Now from the client system, if I need to get connected to that HANA server and then start working onto it, I'll have to install HANA Studio, which is my client tool. From this HANA Studio, I'll start getting connected to HANA server and start working onto it. Same way if it is SAP applications like BW or ECC, whatever it is. Once we have those servers, what we do in the client system, we install SAP GUI, right? Suppose you want to get connected to some SAP servers, then what do you do? You'll have SAP servers, let's say, whether it is SAP BW application or SAP ECC, whatever it is, any business suite. Let's say these are my server. Then what do you do? If you need, so this is a server. So if you need to get connected to the server from the client system, what is it I install here? You'll have Windows. Generally, we'll have Windows or Mac or whatever it is. We'll install what? SAP GUI. And from this GUI, you'll get connected to the SAP servers and then start working on it. This concept. Ante kada. People who have been already exposed to any of the SAP applications, you would install GUI and then get connected to the server and start working. Same way, in case of HANA, in the client system, you would install HANA Studio. By using HANA Studio, you'll start getting connected to the HANA server and then start working on it. At the point. Okay, boss. Generally, when you look at when you get connected to HANA server and then start working onto it, you'll have different kind of roles. I might be an HANA administrator, so I still log into HANA Studio to do administration activities. Okay, let's say I'm a HANA modeler. I use HANA. Everyone would use HANA Studio, whether it is administrator or modeler or ETL consultant. Anyone would still use what? HANA Studio itself. Let's say I'm an administrator. I use HANA Studio and get connected to HANA server, and then I would like to do all administration tasks. If I'm a HANA modeler, I still use HANA Studio, get connected to HANA server, but I would like to perform all kind of activities relevant to what? Modeling or setting up a HANA database or modeling bus. Let's say again, I would like to, we said we have got HANA native framework and we can develop our own custom applications. Let's say I'm going to develop my own custom application. Again, I still use HANA Studio, get connected to HANA server, but my intention is about developing my own custom applications with HANA native framework. Or let's say I have BW on HANA system. I have got HANA database, which is used as a backend for BW. I still leverage HANA Studio, log into it, but when I log in, my intention is to work on BW modeling specific to HANA bus. Let's say I'm an ABAP consultant. I've got my ECC or some SAP ABAP systems which are running on HANA. I log into HANA Studio to work on ABAP specific activities relevant to HANA bus. So there are different kind of activities or roles which we do, but everyone has to go with the same tool as what HANA Studio. Whether you're an administrator or you're a modeler or whether you're a BW consultant or an ABAP consultant or you're going to customize a new application, whatever it is, you still leverage what? HANA Studio. But see, since everyone is logged into HANA Studio, but everyone wants to perform different kind of roles. So what SAP has done is to differentiate the environment, because when I log into the studio as a modeler, I would prefer an environment which is suitable for me, which will enable me for doing all kind of modeling and all those stuff. As an administrator, I would prefer an environment which will help me to do all administration kind of activities about configuring server settings, all those stuff, right? So what SAP has done is, since they want to provide one kind integrated development environment for every kind of activities they do, they have come out with something called perspectives. You install HANA Studio as your client software, but within HANA Studio, you'll have multiple perspectives. Now, once I get connected to HANA Studio, I would choose my perspective. What is my perspective? Is it administration, or is it BW modeling, or is it ABAP workbench you want to work on, or is it you want to do HANA modeling, or you want to work on data processing techniques, whatever it is. So for each kind of activities, what you want to perform, they have given something called perspectives. Getting this? Now see, I already have a system where First time but the time but let's wait. Hmm. So I've got some remote system which I'm going to use it as a client, but I'll come back to that. See, this is I've got HANA server, but this is not HANA server. This is just a client system where I already installed my HANA Studio. So if you just get into programs, I have SAP HANA, and what is this here? HANA Studio. So this is I've just installed this HANA Studio. So once I have the studio, what I can do, I can get connected to any HANA server, provided it is in my network, whether it is LAN, WAN, or VPN, whatever it is. I need to have that in the network first. And if you get into this, if you see this icon, what is this? Prospect. If you see open prospect, ABAP perspective, we have what is? We have perspective called what? BW modeling, and then what? We have perspective for administration. HANA development is for customer developing your own custom applications. HANA modeler. You have different perspectives which will provide an environment to do that particular activities. And don't have to worry much. For example, I would like to work on BW specific modeling. Then I'll say what? BW modeling was. So this will have one set of navigation screen with all different tabs here. Okay. So if I get into HANA modeler, it will have different perspective, different set of screens setup. See, this will have different. We can call them as views: systems view, various list view, properties view. So depending on what perspective you choose, you'll have different set of views which will enable you to do that kind of activities. So we'll get into administration console and if I get connected, let's see. Okay, and say if I get into sorry administration and I get to see all this administration activities, I can get into configuration and I can configure all my servers. Let's say I would like to do some settings with respect to index server and some sort of settings I would like to do in index server. I can get this. There's something like merge dog, and I said there's something called auto merge decision function. So I would like to customize this decision function for auto merge or smart. You can do all kind of configurations with respect to server settings like this. That is called as perspectives. Okay. So, but in the real time, like, but see, how do I install this HANA Studio may not be so important. But just to check whether you really worked on it or not, there are some questions put on to you saying, how did you install Studio? Once we install Studio, if you want to set up BW modeling, that's a different installation or different setup we have to do. So you're getting questions on that also. Just to handle how does that is done, we are looking at. So, okay, now you're sitting on the client system, but you have your HANA server details. You know the server name, you know the system ID, all this. But if from this client system, if I need to get connected to that HANA server, I need to install what? The HANA Studios. So where do I get in? Where do I download that software? How do I install it? Is what we're trying to see. So we're looking at how do I install my HANA Studio. So once I install HANA Studio, I can start getting connected to my any HANA server, provided I have it in my network. That's the point. Okay. So what we can do is We can get to service marketplace, service.sap.com. Okay, SAP marketplace where you can download all your softwares. Okay, but HANA Studio does not need any license. It's a front end. You can install. You can always download it. You can just get into this and click on this SAP support portal, and then click on this button menu, software downloads, and you go into patches. Now this is not HANA Studio is not a full-fledged software, it's just a patch, right? So you say get in what support packages and patches, and click on what A to Z. I can get into that. I can just click on what is H, alphabetical order. I can just click on H. It is all recorded, so you don't have to worry so much. It'll ask you for it. See, it'll ask you for S user ID, then you should have one. Yeah? If you already have license, you'll have it one. If you go down, you'll have something called SAP HANA Platform Edition. Yesterday we've seen Platform Edition, Enterprise Edition, Extended Enterprise Edition. Yeah. When I go to Platform Edition, it will give me, from here I can also download the database also. HANA software download this coach. If I get to Platform Edition 1, if I go to support patches, all this, sorry. These are support patches for your HANA database, SP9, then get into what? Enterprise component. What is it you want to install? You want to install what? HANA Studio. Just click on this. And I'll go with the latest one, say HANA Studio 2. And I'll go with what? Windows version of it. Because you're installing it on your Windows, right? Now you get different revisions. Look at this 96 revision, 110, 102, 100. But I'll go with the latest one, or you can look at the date wise, which indicates you, let you know which is the most latest one. Okay. So you can just click on this. It'll ask you for a login again, and then that gets downloaded. But if you look at this, you have this file with what extension here? .sar. .zip. That is one kind of compressed format of SAP. Most of your SAP softwares, you would have it compressed with this format of .sar files. Okay. Then save because I already saved it and kept it. It's going to take some time, so I already saved it. Okay, download. Okay. So I already downloaded this HANA Studio. And I already downloaded the same SAR file. If you go to F folder, HANA Studio, I have this. Look at the file. IMC Studio 110 SAR and IMC Studio and 110.323.SAR. I've got that SAR files. Okay, now I just have to use this SAR file and install my HANA Studio. Okay, but I said this .sar is one kind of compressed format. I need to unzip it. Normally, if it's zipped, you unzip it. Same way with SAR, I need to extract the files and then install it. Okay, whenever you want to unzip or extract this .sar files, you would need SAP car. That is an SAP WinZip software. SAP car the software which is used for unzipping the .sar files. This is a service simple. If you just say I want to have SAP car, it's an exe file which will basically unzip those .sar files. Okay, boss. So I need to have this .sar file. Now we are clear. For me, it is in. Okay, I have got these two files now. Okay, what I'll do, just to make sure I have got no confusion, I'll take these two files and take it into one folder on the back. It's a new folder. I'll use your number as 8. So I'm just taking that into some folder. I've got those downloads both. Make sure the .sar file and the SAP utility file SAP car are placed onto the same folder. Okay, was fine. Then how do I basically unzip it or how do I uncompress this? First 2 days it is clear. Any problem now? Hello? Voice is breaking. Now is it fine? Oh, so if it is clear for at least one, then there's something from your side. Is it clear now? Ah, okay. 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 Hmm. See in the F drive, I have a folder called what? Batch 8, and I've got this .sar, and I also have downloaded this SAP. That's simple. You can just download from the utilities SAP car. Yeah. Now once I have this, first I need to unzip my .sar file. For this, you have to get into command prompt. You get into command prompt to do this. Okay. So where is my file bus? It is in F drive. I need to switch on to the F drive. So get it F. Okay, I've just moved into F drive. And then within the F drive, it is in which folder? Batch 8. So I'll go into CD batch 8. I'm just changing to my folder. Just get into the path. All my files are placed in which path was F drive batch 8. Just get into that path. But before you do that, you should make sure the .sar file and SAP car exe file both are placed onto same folder first. Now get into this path of the same folder. Now start executing this command SAP car. Okay. -xvf is a command. నాకు కూడా తెలియదు అది బట్టి కొట్టినట్లు SAP car -xvf and your file which you want uncompress it. Which one is IM, right? I and then just say tab, it takes it. So SAP car -xvf and then your .sar file. This will uncompress that SAR file. So just say and then it is going to do some compression. So now done. It is uncompressed. Now if I just get to this folder now, batch 8, you see, apart from this .sar file, now you see a folder now which is uncompressed now. If you double click and you see a setup. అంటే మనకు కనిపిస్తుంది ఇది కనిపిస్తే ఏముంది కొట్టడమే రైట్ అండ్ దట్స్ యూ డబుల్ క్లిక్ అండ్ సే yes. And one prerequisite is before you do this, you should make sure you install Java bus. Java setup చేయాల్సిందే నేను ఆల్రెడీ చేసిన బట్ దట్స్ వెరీ సింపుల్. సో సెట్ అయిందా లేదంటే I can just execute some command called set which should tell me I see Java_home అని ఉందా. If I see this, it means Java has been set up. Google how to install Java, there is all a lot of video. Very simple. So you should have installed Java first, then you can go about install it. Now you want to update it or you want to install it. So I just want to install. Next good helping that is those. So we'll go with administration, database development, application development. But is it bringing BW modeling? Is it bringing ABAP modeling? So initially it does bring only the administration perspective and modeling and application development. For other BW modeling also, I need to install separate patches again. Yeah. So next, I'm okay with this. Next, and hit install. ఎందుకు అంటే మనకు అన్ని హనాలు అన్నీ వచ్చు రియల్ టైం కూర్చోబెట్టి స్టార్ట్ చేయంటేనే స్టూడియో అవన్నీ ఎక్కడైనా అడుగుతున్నాను అట్లా అడగకూడదు మన సెటప్ హనా సర్వర్ ఐపీ అడ్రస్ కానీ సర్వర్ నేమ్ అడగలము స్టూడియో అడగకూడదు. ఓకే Or at least you should tell them, I don't have HANA Studio, that has to be installed. నువ్వు చేసుకుంటూ వాడు చేస్తుంటే వాడు let him install. You have successfully installed HANA Studio. Log, I'm okay with the log, finish. Now if I, in the programs, I should start seeing my HANA Studio. If I just try to search for it, confusion was HANA Studio. And now start. That's it. I've got HANA Studio installed. Yeah, this client is free for all. You can always download. Just don't worry about workspace. Just say okay. It opens it. We'll see on the what is workspace later. Now it just gets it. So this is my HANA Studio. So this is my HANA Studio. Okay, this is how it will be. Okay. Then if you look at the prospectus, so do we have something like BW model? Do you have something like ABAP model? Adem level. It's got only what? HANA modeler, HANA development advice. The main what's you never got your BW modeling. Even in HANA development, you would not have got something like SAP UI. I told you for designing front-end screens, you need what? SAP UI. So we also need certain libraries for SAP UI also. So all those have to be set up. So first, next what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do setup for SAP UI5 development. I need to have those because if I get it HANA development, don't worry on this. When I go with say new, I don't see anything like SAP UI5 or any Kanapadam because those setup is not been installed. We have not installed that plugin for SAP UI5. So what I do is help install what new software. Apart from this, I just want to install new software into Studio. Then you should say add. They'll give you some URL that is open. The URL Kepler. You'll have some link called URL. It says Kepler, and URL. This URL will have all the required plugins. From there, you can always system will download and install it automatically for you. So I would like to install the plugin for what SAP UI5. So I specify the location and say SAP UI5 something, some name. Say okay. When I give this path, so what does it do? All the tools, what is available in this path will be shown here. All the plugins are linked to any plugins. So your system should have a net connected to internet. It'll read all the plugins from the given link. It'll show you, and you can just select what you want to install. See, can I install UI development toolkit for HTML? This is what UI5. Can I install modeling tools for what? BW. I can install modeling tools for other, but I don't want to do this here. Now, problem is that if I do it from here, it is going to give me version like 1.8. We'll discuss on that later. It is going to give me version 1.8.8, and that will give me some problems while doing BW modeling. But I would like to have 1.7. If that is the case, I'll have to manually set up that BW model. So I do not go from this. First, from this, I'll just install only UI5 only. Just select this and say what? Next. Say next, and I say what? Accept and say finish. Sorry, sir. Checkbox bit. I love that URL. What is this one? I want to accept that certificate. That's fine. So this is installing your plugin for this says you want to restart. Yes, okay. It just restarts the HANA Studio. So now we have set up the plugins for SAP UI5. So next I would like to set up for what? BW modeling and ABAP prospectus also. But I have not done that with the default version what it gives as 1.8, but I would like to go with 1.7 for some reason. So then how do we do that? Okay. So again, I'll go to Service Marketplace. I'll download the plugin for BW modeling tools, then import that into my system, into my studio. Okay. So how do I do this? If you get in Service Marketplace, again support portal. I'm getting into Service Marketplace. Again, I'll get into what? SAP support portal. Then what? Software downloads. Then it's what? I don't know where it is, but so I can go for search box. I'll say search for software. Say BW modeling. Okay. SAP BW modeling. See, you get something like SAP BW modeling tools. I am interested with this 1.7. This 1.8 is others now defaulted. I'll tell you later why I'm preferring this. So you just click on this and OS independent and you just get in. You just this only .zip file. You just click on this. It will basically download or start downloading all this. Okay. But what I've done is I have already downloaded this and kept it ready. What is 754 zip, right? If I get into this folder, F block in HANA Studio, I've set this up. SABW 754, which is a zip file. Okay. So I'll take this zip file, get it to my folder, Mandin and the batch it. I'll just copy it. So paste it. Now this is zip file, right? So I should just unzip it. Now right click and say what? I'll unzip it to the same with another folder which creates extract to this. Now does it create one more folder now which will have all this plugins? Now what is the situation here? In the F drive, I've got a folder called what? Batch 8. Within this I had this file, I've unzipped it, so it creates one more folder with all these plugins in it. Okay, Nana? So I need to import these plugins into my studio, which will bring me BW modeling tools. Okay. I'll go to what? HANA Studio. Help. Then what else? Install new software. Add BW model something, some name. Sorry. Is local boss. So local. Where is it? This PC. F. You just have to select only the top folder. Don't select the plugins. Just select the top folder. What is unzipped? The BW modeling tools folder. Select the child. Just select the path till the folder and say OK. And say BW model something and say OK. It gives you what? BW modeling tools and say all. I just want all everything. Say next. So this gives a composite provider, advanced DSO, open node, all this can be done. We'll discuss. So this is going to be what? 1.7, which I'm preferring. I accept and say finish. Again, it says restart. Okay. Again, I want to bring in some plugins with respect to ABAP development in Eclipse. This is actually Eclipse tool. We'll discuss it. I want to have plugins for ABAP also. System requirements for installing Studio. This is normal client system, 4 GB with Java. That's fine. Because Java undalante minimum 4 GB is what. Otherwise, it will be very slow. L and then what is it? Install new soft. Again, I would like to go with installing. Now I get my BW modeling now. I also want to make, I got ABAP but doesn't have the plugins. I just want to import my ABAP plugins also. Again, what I'll do? Again, service marketplace, I need to download what? Relevant to ABAP. Okay. I'll say search for, again, search for software. Support portal. You'll say ABAP for Eclipse. Your HANA Studio is an Eclipse based tool. Okay. So you can just download the Eclipse, the latest one, and then again, I've already downloaded this. This is the one. Basis, this is the latest one. I got with 2.54, but I can take this and import this. Again, I can take, how do you take this? I take this into my batch 8 folder. And what I'll do? I'll unzip it. So this is my folder, right? SAP basis. So I'll go to my studio again. I'll install new software. Add local. Again, it is what? F. 8 basis. Select. Just select the top folder basis and say okay. So it will bring me all ABAP development kit. I'm okay. Say next. Accept. Accept that certificate. This step. Now my HANA Studio is ready. From this studio, I can start getting connected to any HANA server provided it is in my network. So I've got my HANA server which is in my LAN, okay, or it should be in VPN or something, but it should be in a network. Otherwise, I just can't get connected to anything. Okay. So from this, I would prefer to get into what HANA modeler perspective, because that is where we do a lot of HANA modeling. So I'm just preferring what I've got it studio. I'm choosing the perspective as what HANA modeler. So HANA modeler will have a different set of views, which will help you to do all kind of setting of HANA database or modeling. You can just close this out if you're not happy with that. Always, I want to close all these windows. Okay. So I just have I'm in HANA, which perspective was HANA modeler perspective, and I'm just closed out all the views except the systems. Now once you install SAP GUI, do add your system in the GUI and then say login. Yes. Then if you have your SAP GUI, what do you do? Syllabus. In the SAP GUI, you basically add your system and then you log into it. Same way, once I have my HANA Studio has been set up, I need to add my HANA server. Let's say you have been given with the details saying your HANA server name is SAP what? OS name or server name? Yeah? SAP Cubic. That's my HANA server name. It's a system where we have installed the HANA database, and system ID is what? SP9. Okay. And they'll also ask you for instance number. Yeah, generally not mandatory that it is always 00. For me, instance number is 01 here. Chala important. So when they give you the server detail, they also give you the instance number. Instance number but the main important ఏంటంటే, see mainly you have two servers. One is index, main. One is you have index server and one is what? You have what? Access engine server, right? So in a single server, both these servers will be running in. You'll have index server running in and access engine server running in. So since two servers are running in, each of them will have different port. So the port for index server will be 3xx15. Okay. అంటే అర్థమైంది XX అంటే you should replace that XX with that instance number. What is the instance number of your server? 0. So 30115. This is the index server port. That is a port for your index server. That's how it will be. And for access engine server, it will be 80XX. So what is your XX should be replaced with your instance number. What will be port now? 80. What is the instance bus? 0. అంతేగాని ప్రతిసారి రియల్ టైం అన్నిసార్లు 8000 30015 ఉంటుంది. It has to be your instance number. So your index server will be running at this port 30115. Your access engine server will be running at this port 8001. Okay, Nana? Done? Fine. So you'll be given with all these details saying host name and the system ID and what? Instance number, and you'll also have to be given with the user login. And so with all this, you won't get connected to the HANA server, right? You should have some user. For me, I know I know what is my user ID and password for it. Okay. So in the systems view, I'm going to add that system now. In the GUI, how do you go about adding it? Same way you'll add it. Now in the systems view, you'll say right click. What is it? Add system. Or you want to create even in SAP GUI, you can organize those lot of systems with folder wise. Yes. Same here, I can create a lot of. Let's say if you're connecting to, let's say 10 HANA servers, you want to categorize them. One development, one quality, one unco. Folder wise create this. You can just create one folder saying you want the development and some folder. Whether sandbox, petko. ఈ folder కింద systems connections create. You can organize those. You can have, see, once you have studio, you can get connected to n number of HANA servers. And every time you want to get connected to one HANA server, you need to create one system. You need to add a system here. And just to categorize those systems, I can just use a concept of folder. Okay. See folder kinda, I'll say what? Right click and say what? Add system. I'll say, what it will ask me? Host name. Host name is nothing but the server system server name where my HANA database is running in. What is mine? I gave, here it is SAP Cubex. Where a system ఉంటుంది వాళ్ళ ఇష్టం. Okay. Instance is 01, and the description of this in the GUI, what is the description you want to see? I would like to see it as Cubex HANA box. Okay, that's the name I would like to see, and say next. It will ask me for the user login. So you can go with different authentications. Let's not worry now. Just a normal user login. Say next and say what? Finish. So look at the index port. What is it? 301. It is taking which? What is index server? It is taking 3011. The system cannot be reached. I know why it is. See, I'm connected to the server called SAP Cubex. But how does system know what is the IP address of that SAP Cubex? It doesn't know. So I need to update that in my host file, or I should go back here and instead of giving SAP, I need to specify IP address of the server. నాకు హోస్ట్ నేమే వెళ్ళాలనుకున్నా. సో వాట్ ఐల్ డూ, ఐల్ టేక్ ది హోస్ట్. ఎందుకన్నా ఇది బాగా So in my system, I'll go to what? Go to the folder called drivers. You'll folder etc hosts. Okay. Update this host file with all the IP address and the host name. Now you look at this. Now it knows 1.100 is my host what? SAP Cubics. So now it will recognize it. So make sure you update it. Now host file straight away in the HANA Studio you can specify IP address if you want. Okay, that's anyway is fine. So it is getting connected. So are we connecting to Access Engine or index server? Index server. Now it is able to recognize that server. Yes, sir. It is able to recognize that host name as cubic because I specified in the host file. I've updated my IP address for it. Done. So this is my system. Itla. Now inko server would undannattu. Again, I would say that, treat that as my, let's say what, quality anko, for example, quality box. So again, what, add system. దీని host అదే host లోనే but instance name నాది 00 ఇది దీనికి అంతే cubics box say quality something అంటే ఒకే సర్వర్ లోనే రెండు ఇన్స్టెన్స్ లేసినాను ఇప్పుడు ఇండెక్స్ సర్వర్ 30015 అట్లా you can start connecting to n number of systems so ఒకటని కాదు ఇది ఓన్లీ ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ టూల్ through which you can get connected to n number of HANA servers provided they are in the network. So, LAN gochu, WAN gochu, VPN gochu, whatever it is. Got this point? Done? Okay. Now, I just want to log off from this. I would basically want to work on this. You can just say, later you can just say log off and then close it out. And when you log into this studio, again, you see that system always connected. Now I close this studio. Now I log into the studio again. Instance means instance is actually server because once you have the server, you can install multiple instances. And you can say, "Man SAP client lagan 000 client, 001 client at our type." So I get in. I always have this. I can just if now I want to just log in. I don't have to add the system again. I just right click on the system and say what log on. And from this HANA Studio, what I've installed, now I'm connected to my HANA database server. Now I can start working on it. That's the concept. Okay, boss? Okay. But I told you, when you get into HANA modeling, you will have different perspectives. Do you understand what is perspectives? Because any kind of activity you want to do in HANA server from the client, you still use what HANA Studio, whether it is administrator or whether modeler or ETL consultant or HANA native developer or BW consultant or above, everyone would do the same too. But everyone wants to have a different set of view or different set of screens to enable his smoothen his work. So they have come out with what instead of going with different tools, they wanted to have one tool for everyone, but they want to differentiate for each kind of person with different perspectives. Okay. So I'm basically in which perspective now? Which one? Anam. I can just close this. Only close చేసేయచ్చు కొంచెం ఇక్కడ కనపడకుండా I can close this. You can just click this button. Now you can choose what you want. HANA model. Is the default? We call this. This is the default perspective of HANA modeler. We'll have something called what? Pick view, systems view, various list, properties. All this. This is the default. Okay. I'll come to the default view later. This is my systems. Okay, boss. Now, once I get connected to the system, okay, I just trying to explain about systems view. Okay. Once you get connected to system and when you expand the system, you will start seeing basically 4 folders mainly. One is catalog, then provisioning, then content and what? Security. Once you get connected to HANA system and when you expand, you get to see 4 folders: catalog, content, provisioning and security. And this catalog folder will have all the databases. Catalog folder will have all the database objects or database. Normally in a database, when you say database, it is schema. Schema is what? Logical grouping of all the database artifacts. We call that as what? Schema. When you say database, you end up creating tables, views, procedures. Even you basically qualify them with what? One schema. You just logically group them as what? Schema. So schema itself, we call it as database generally. So all the databases are available under which folder? Catalog folder, which is called a schema. Under schema, you start having all your database artifacts like table, view, procedure, function, column views, inganni. Yeah. Now look at this. So I would expand catalog. It will start showing me all my schemas here. I've got one cubex, two cubex, some I've got lots of. All these are my schemas here. Okay. And see, one cubex, two cubex is all the schemas or database which I created first. When you basically install, when you get connected to HANA server by default, you'll have some schemas, something called, look at this. Any schema you see with the naming as sys. Sys is actually the keyword for all the system relevant database artifacts. So look at this, sys bi, sys big, even sys repo, sys, anything you see starting with sys, these are the default schemas. The default ante manam system schemas anachu. So there is a question which they're trying to ask you, what are the system schemas? Default ante, if they ask you what is the default schema, say sys bi and sys big untai default ga. Wherever మనం setup చేసే కొద్ది, when I do lots of import, lot of support patches, then it gets in. Default you'll have sys bi, sys big are the one, but there are a lot of system schemas like sys bi, sys big, sys repo. When I configure SLT, then I get sys repo. ఒక్కోదానికి వస్తుంటాయి అన్నట్టు. Default you will see only sys bi and sys big. When I configure SLT, then you start getting another schema called sysrepo. When I configure predictive analytics, then you will get sysafl అన్నది. అట్లా ఒక్కొక్కటి కాన్ఫిగర్ చేసి కొద్ది ఎక్స్ట్రా వస్తుంటాయి. When I set up SAP UFI development, then you get SAP XS. When I set up statistics, then you get sys అట్లా. Okay. But main default ones would be sys BI and sys big. And the system schemas చెప్పంటే you can list out all. Sys BI, sys schema, sys repo, sys statistics, sys XS and okay. Suppose if I'm not interested to see all the schemas, if I'm not interested to see only certain schemas, I can also filter it here in the catalogs folder. You can right click and say what? Filter to see. I just want to see only ones which holds the name what? Cubex and a pair to it is star on that. Okay. Star cubex star ante. Cubex is a part of the string unte chalu. Anything it comes. So I get to see all of them which holds the name cubex in it. Whether it is mundara yanaki ekkadunna cubex and word unte, it brings me up. Like this, I can apply filter and restrict to see only certain. Instead of seeing all the schemas, I can restrict myself to see only my own schema. So mana schema would create jesi filter pettukunte aa schema unte kanipistunటుంది. We can do that. Okay. Next is I would get into this one. So I've got schema called what? 7 cubex. Expand this. If I And then now under the schema, we're going to have all the database artifacts like tables, views, procedures, functions, and all of those are organized in folders now. Means all the tables in one folder, all views in one folder, all procedures in one folder, all functions in one folder, column views in one folder. They've just organized it. So I have a schema, 7 cubex, which is actually considered to be schema or nothing but database, you can call it. Now within this database, what tables do I have? If I expand what? If I expand this tables folder, you get to see all the tables what I've got in this schema. Even the tables. Okay. If you want to see some content of some table, you can right click on the table and say what is open. I'm just taking you through the screen. I'm not teaching you anything. Okay. Screen. So this is showing me. When I say show me, is it firing some query saying select star from this table and then showing me results? And the table content jodochu. We'll see that later. And next, same way you can have what? What is? We'll have what? Database view. You know what is database view? Even in ECC or data dictionary, you create database view, right? You basically join multiple tables, create a view, and that stuff, right? You can see this view definition. You can see some SQL statement leveraged for creating view. We'll see that later. And you'll have views like this. You can also go creating some triggers. We'll see what is trigger, what is all this. But the triggers, then there's something called You'll have synonyms. Then you'll have something called sequences. This is more like number range objects. You'll have procedures. You'll have procedures. Then you'll have indexes. Like it's index is about, it could be full text index or it could be something called second index. We'll see. Full text index is what used when you want to go for text analysis. When you want to process unstructured data, then you go with full text index. When you want to improve performance of reading, then you go with what? Second index. So now we'll get into details later. But and this is where you'll have, these are default folders given by, folders are default, but the objects are mine. See, as soon as you create a schema, by default the schema will have those folders. And when you create any object into that schema, the based on that object type, they are grouped as per that folder. Folders automatically untai. Let's say I create a new schema. Then by default it will have those folders, but all the folders will be blank. Then let's say create a table, and that database object table will be shown under what? Tables folder. What a chupichor get this is that. And then don't worry on this. Then you'll have what? Column views. Like this, you end up creating all different kinds of database objects into this. So you understand what do we have in the schema? So basically catalog object is about building up your database. Say you want to develop some application. So when you want to develop some application, you would like to store data in the database specific to an application. Say I want to store employee details, I want to store sales order details, all this. You know what you want to store. You'll build a database and then you start creating the database into catalog form. You'll create a schema. You'll create all the application relevant tables. You'll create, if you require, create views, triggers, sequences, or whatever it is, and procedures. So in the catalog folder, you mainly focus on building up your database in HANA. Okay, boss?
We can see the schemas created by other users as well.
Provided you have been authorized for it. You're saying, let's say the schema is created by user 1. Can that schema be seen by user 2? That is about, suppose if user 2 has been authorized to see or only for reading or editing, you can also control all this. Next, we'll have a folder called content. So I told you other day, when you're using HANA as data mart, through data processing techniques, you'll dump all your data into HANA. On top of this and store data in form of table. On top of this physical tables, we'll create what? Virtual models and expose these virtual models for reporting this. Okay. Within HANA, they've given HANA modeling environment, which will help you to create those virtual models like attribute view, analytical view, calculation. Okay. See, you'll extract data from different sources and dump all the data into physical tables in HANA. So in HANA, you're going to get all the tables out in the schema. But these tables are not ready for consumption in the reporting. Say a simple example, you have replicated sales table. And sales table has got date. But my business users like to do analysis on year-wise, month-wise, quarter-wise, week-wise. But my underlying table has got only what? Date. So do I need to do some kind of massaging to that table? So as part of virtualization layer, as part of HANA modeling content, what I'll do, I'll take this table, do some kind of massaging to the table, build some extra columns like date, month, year, derive. Based on the date column of the table, I'll build up some calculated columns like date, month, year, quarter, all this stuff, and expose this virtual model for reporting. So when they do reporting on this virtual model, which is built on the table, they would start getting the year, month, week. That is a simple kind of transformation you can think of. So we can expose the physical tables of HANA also for reporting. So only thing is, it is not ready for consumption for the end user. So we have to do some kind of manipulations or some kind of slicing and dicing or some kind of massaging to those tables on fly virtually through by building what? HANA models. And then expose these virtual models or HANA models for reporting. That's the concept. వేరే సిస్టమ్ నుంచి టేబుల్ తీసుకొని లోపలికి వెళ్ళాలి అనాలైతే దాని మీద ఒక మోడల్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి ఇస్తే రిపోర్ట్ ఇస్తారు అంతే. నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏమంటే టేబుల్ మీద ఎందుకు మోడల్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి? Once I bring the table from SAP or non-SAP into HANA, I can expose this table directly for reporting, right? Why should I go about creating my HANA model? Massaging, manipulating, slicing and dicing, deriving extra columns, removing some columns, performing some anything you want to do some massaging to the data on fly, you create those virtual models. So for performing those modeling in HANA, SAP has come out with some 3 HANA modeling objects. One is attribute view, analytical view, and calculation. And when you want to basically work on this HANA modeling objects, you have to get into this content folder. And it is in the content folder, you're going to have all HANA modeling objects, and all these HANA modeling objects are organized by packages. Packages similar to your folder in Windows, or in BW we had info area where we had info area to organize my providers. Same way, all your HANA models, we'll discuss on later what is attribute view, but whether it is any view, attribute view, analytical view, calculation, all are virtual. All of these views would take the data from the tables, do massaging or manipulations or slicing and dicing on fly, and present it for reporting. But when to use what, we'll discuss that later. And how to we create those views, that is what course is about. Okay, we're not focused. So what are when you want to create those HANA modeling in content, we get into what? This content folder. And in this content, all those HANA modeling objects are organized by packages. So if I get into this content, it shows me all those packages here. Let's say I have this, what is package here? 7 cubics I get in. This is one package. This is like folder. I've got under this, I've got another folder like package. So I've got all kind of attribute views, analytical views. I've got what? Calculation views. Expand this calculation views. I've got calculation views, analytical views. I've got attribute views. So if you, under the content folder, you'll have all the HANA modeling content like attribute views or analytical views or calculation views, which are organized in packages. So if you want to work on HANA models, what you do, you get into the content folder, create your package. Under the package, you start creating your models. And done. Okay. Okay, good. Syllabus. Then you'll have something called what? Provisioning bus. You remember the other day when I was discussing on the flexibilities or components of HANA, we had something called smart data access. By using the two different things, smart data access is different, smart data quality integration is different. I'm only focusing now on what? Smart data access as of now, okay, in this topic. But later we'll get into all those, but when you say smart data access, by leveraging smart data access, you can basically connect the different source applications, whether it is source database or source application can be connected to my HANA database as a remote source and consume all the tables of that application or database as virtual tables in HANA. By using smart data access, you can connect SAP or non-SAP applications or databases as remote sources to HANA and then consume all the tables of those applications or databases as virtual tables in HANA. So smart data access ద్వారా SAP అప్లికేషన్ కావచ్చు అది డేటాబేస్ కావచ్చు దానిని వర్చువల్ రిమోట్ సోర్స్ గా HANA కనెక్ట్ చేసేసి దానిలో ఉన్న టేబుల్స్ ని వర్చువల్ టేబుల్స్ లాగా మనం కన్జ్యూమ్ చేయొచ్చు HANAలో. అది కాన్సెప్ట్. That is smart data access. But if I want to take those virtual tables and further manipulate and build a data flow kind of stuff like with ETL tools, what you do, then that is what smart data quality and integration is. I would like to take this virtual table as a source and then build some transformations like ETL tool and BODS, then that is the concept of smart data quality and integration. But now, as part of this provisioning folder, we are only focused on creating a connection to the remote source. Connect the source systems to HANA as a remote source and consume those database objects tables as virtual tables. And once the virtual table is there, then smart data quality and integration is a different concept. Now I expand the provisioning. And what is this? Smart data access, you can just, you could right click on this and say what is it? New new remote source అంటావు. You'll have a lot of adapters. నాకు చూడు ఇక్కడ. You have a lot of, we'll discuss on this later. I've got adapt. Let's say I want to use it. I would like to connect to an ECC, SAP ECC, which is running on MS SQL database. And MS SQL ECC adapter. I'll give all this server details, host name, use name, అన్ని ఇస్తే కనెక్ట్ అవుతున్నారు. అట్లా ఆల్రెడీ ఐ క్రియేటెడ్ కనెక్షన్. విల్ నాట్ వరీ నౌ, విల్ గెట్ టు ద టాపిక్ లేటర్. బట్ నేను ఆల్రెడీ ఐ క్రియేటెడ్ a remote connection to my ECC application which is running on MS SQL database. Okay. So once I have this connection, when I expand this remote connection, it starts showing me all those tables of my ECC now. So if I get to the organized by application, if I just get into this AW, you know, ECC is organized with three things, mainly finance, logistics, and what? HR, right? Accounting, HR, and what? Logistics. Now I would like to see my VBAC table about sales. So I'll get it to what? Logistics. Logistics lo malli what? Sales. Sales lo malli endu bus. Sales lo sales order. Ikkada ఇది ఏంది table. This is VBAC table of ECC. Now I would like to take this table. You will వాడాలనుకో, right click, add as virtual table. Now when I say add as virtual table, ask me in which schema you want. You 7 cubics ఏదో పెట్టినా అనుకో, for example. అంతే అయిపోయింది, క్రియేట్ అయిపోయింది, నథింగ్ ఎల్స్. Now if I go to my schema, which one? 7 cubics. I should see a table called virtual table. Okay, sir. ఇదేనా EHP remote VBAC. Now right click on this and see open content. ఇది ఏమన్నా చూపిస్తుంది డేటా నాకు? ECC data. Did I do any loading? Virtually I'm accessing the data from my ECC application. Like this, not only ECC. I can even connect to SAP applications like this, or even databases. I can connect to a SQL Server database or anything. Oracle, DB2 అట్లుంటాయి. ఇది. You see this? I can connect a remote. నాకు రెండు అన్న సర్వర్లు ఉన్నాయి కదా. I told you SP8 ఒకటి 9 ఒకటి 00 instance 02 HANA. It's like 2 HANA servers. So I can also use smart data access to connect 100 database to HANA database also. అది చేశాను. When I expand this remote HANA, ఇది వేరే HANA database. దాంట్లో ఒక టేబుల్ చూపిస్తాను. I'm actually connecting. I can add as virtual table. అలా కూడా చేయొచ్చు. I can also use smart data access to connect virtual flat files also. ఇది కొద్దిగా ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటుంది, ఎందుకంటే అది వేరే. I'll come to that later. బికాస్ నా ఏజెంట్ వేరే సర్వర్ సిస్టంలో ఉంది, నేను క్లయింట్ వేరే సిస్టంలోకి వేసాను, ఇంకా ఏజెంట్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయలేదు. అట్లా యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో కన్జ్యూమ్ ఫ్లాట్ ఫైల్స్ ఆల్సో యాజ్ ఎ వర్చువల్ కోర్స్. ఎందుకు ఎట్లా అంటే సెలెక్ట్ దిస్, సెలెక్ట్ రిమోట్ సోర్స్, రైట్ క్లిక్ అండ్ వాట్ విల్ సే రిమోట్ సోర్స్ అంటే ఇల్ గివ్ డిఫరెంట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అడాప్టర్స్ హియర్. IQ, HANA, ODBC, generic ODBC, Twitter. I can connect to Twitter. I can adapt BW. I can also connect virtually to BW adapter, HANA adapter, Hadoop ఉంటుంది. See, yes, on the Hadoop. You can also connect Hadoop also now. I can also connect Hadoop system to my HANA system as remote source also. For this, and it రావాలంటే we need to do some setting. Data provisioning అని ఉంటుంది. There is a concept called data provisioning. ఎందుకు ఇప్పుడు స్లో ఉంది నాకు? One second, I'll just show this out. You remember we had it here. What is? There's something called data provisioning agent and output. Actually, when you by default have your HANA system installed, you'll only have some connectors like generic ODBC, MS SQL ODBC. But you remember I was using a connector called MS SQL ECC, and for those for new set of adapters, I need to install something called data provisioning agent. I see, just connect to HANA and it's 3010. We'll come to this later, but what ఏంది అంతే. See, they've given a lot of adapters like this. ఇక్కడ adapter పట్టుకొని register అని కొట్టాలి. See, it says already deployed and what? Registered. You can through SDK you can create your own connectors also, own adapters also. Okay. ఇప్పుడు Facebook కనెక్ట్ చేయాలి, నువ్వు నీ ఓన్ టాలెంట్ ఉంటే నువ్వు ఓన్ SDK రాసుకుని you can say what? Deploy adapter అంటే ఆ ఫైల్ అడుగుతుంది, jar files అడుగుతుంది. You can just bring that jar file and build up your adapter and register it also. నీ ఓన్ adapter తెచ్చుకోవచ్చు. And I think now it should have this. దీని వల్ల I just brought in and I just took this MS SQL ECC and I've registered it. That's why I'm able to use that MS SQL ECC adapter to connect. So by using MS SQL ECC, I can connect to ECC applications which are running on MS SQL Server database. So the ECC Oracle ఉంటుంది. Oracle ECC అంటే when will I use this? If I want to get connected to ECC application which is running on Oracle అట్లా అవుతుంది అనుకున్నాను. ఇది సెట్ ఇది అప్ అయినది ఇప్పుడు ఫ్లాట్ ఫైల్ రావచ్చు చూడు. రాదా ఆయన this function, sir, this function of BODS replaced is coming into line. Now, by using smart data access, I'm connecting external sources, whether it is SAP or non-SAP, to my to HANA system as remote source and consume the tables as virtual tables. So when I do, I can, and the virtual tables like normal, I can do select on that, I can use it into modeling, all those stuff I can do. Then when I do run my reports, is it like virtually reading from source and giving it to me? Now the point is the tables what I'm accessing virtually are not ready for my consumption. I need to do some kind of transformations. Yeah. Then I can leverage the concept of smart data quality or integration. Take this virtual table as a source, build all kind of transformations, and then target will be my physical table in HANA. And I'll format this as a data flow and can schedule that as a procedure and run it. When I execute this job, it'll read data from virtual table, do all kind of transformations, put the transformed data into a physical table, and this physical table can be used for modeling. So when I say you'll have virtual table as source, you have target table doing a transformation, is this EIM concept? Is this a concept of EI, enterprise information management? Is it ETL to? Is it the concept of ETL? Yes. All the concepts of BODS is trying to put into this HANA as smart data quality and integration. Is bringing that. I can show you. So we call that a smart data quality and integration. Whatever the concept of BODS we had, the concept of EIM, enterprise information management, about ETL concept, they brought into HANA. That is what called as smart data integration or smart data quality. BODS look at BODI, BODQ, data quality, data atlas same. Then smart data quality, smart data integration. ఎందుకంటే స్మార్ట్ డేటా యాక్సెస్ ద్వారా వచ్చే వర్చువల్ టేబుల్ యూ యూజ్ ఇట్ దేర్ అన్న కాన్సెప్ట్. ఇప్పుడు చూస్తే మనం ముందు బ్యాచ్ చేసింది యూ కెన్ సీ I can't run this, they're inactive, but you can just see some of them. This is like you create some data flows. This is my virtual tables, you're collecting into physical table. You're writing in. See, I'm just using some procedure and collecting into some target table, or so I'm taking target table, virtual table. I'm doing some filtering and collecting it. I'm just building a data flow like how you build in BODS. Okay, and if there are people who know BODS, you should understand this. Target is not so. Actually, ఇలా something called flow graph model అని ఉంటుంది. And it's not active, but అంటే whatever అంటే ఇంకా అంత హెవీగా లేదు. It's not so extreme like BODs, but they've given pretty much some transformations like pivoting, unpivoting, history preserving, row generation, lookup. He has given some transformations which can also be leveraged. That is called smart data quality and integration. ఇంకా నేనేం చెప్పడం లేదండి, ఊరు హనాలో ఏముంటుందని to screen this to be something. I'm not teaching you anything. If you're confused, don't worry. Okay, then you'll have some folder called security bus, which is about creating your roles and security or your users. Expand this, you see two folders now. If you right click on this, you'll have option of what? Create user. And then if you right click on this, it's about creating new role. And then if you look at my user, some just double click on this user to see the user details which is already. You grant your roles. When you go to creating user, you grant the roles what you can have and the privileges, and then a different set of privileges and the roles you give. You can either give the roles. Intern role will have privileges, or for user data you can give privileges. Anyway, it is. You can specify system privileges. I'll come and the depth I can give you information about administration also a little bit on user creation, privileges, etc. When you want control row level security, we'll get into those also. Like this, you can basically control your security authorizations with users and roles in it. If you access the table data in HANA and second time it will bring the data again from source or from HANA buffer. It will always bring it from buffer. Sorry, it always bring it from source. He's saying if you, with respect remote smart data access, is asking you read the virtual table. But if you all read once and if there's some new data, again it brings the new database. It always reads from source always, not from the buffer. No buffer like PSA claim లేదు. BODS you have DI and DQ, same way as smart data quality and integration. What is the difference between smart data access? See, through smart data access, you only consume the tables of virtual remote source as virtual table. And if you want to further do transformations to this virtual table, then you get into what? Smart data quality or integration. Okay. Or is it your own file name convention? No, no, no. Okay, like this you'll have your systems. Okay. This is your, and now I'll say Windows perspective. I'll say what? Reset. When I say reset perspective, I mean which perspective was? Model. When I say reset my, because I've just closed all my views, right? When I say reset, it does bring in all the views which will be like by default. Okay. So you know about systems view. Apart from the systems view, you'll also have another view called what? Click view. Okay. So if you're an SAP consultant, you already know something on SAP Easy Access screen. You basically, with the help of login, you say login and you get connected to SAP screen. And the first screen you get in, is it called as SAP Easy Access? Because in the left hand side, you will get menus. This is my GUI, right? So I get connected to some BW server. So this is my favorites. I can consume reports, double click on it. This is my easy access screen. Or if I want some perform some modeling, I can get into what tools. Mine is more of or if I want to jump to some ABAP, all this I can ABAP workbench, I can get it from here. Was in easy access screen instead of remembering P codes. Same way in HANA Studio, what they've done is for most frequently performed operations, they've given some easy links here. You can understand this is like easy access screen. So for most frequently performed operations, they've given some free links here. You can just click that link and jump to that option what you want to do. Say I want to create some delivery units. You can just click this and jump to a screen where you can start creating delivery unit. I want to generate some time date. I know we are not understanding what, but when we get onto the modeling, we'll see all those options. There's no point in learning ఇప్పుడు అట్లా అవసరం బట్టి ఒకటి వాడుకుంటూ వెళ్దాం. Like configuring import server, data provisioning. This is for regarding your SLT replications. అట్లా ఒకటి ఉంటాయి అన్నట్టు. For most frequently performed operations, SAP gives you the links in this. You can understand this as easy access, which is called a click view. Quick view ఉంటుంది. ఇంతకు ముందు క్విక్ లాంచ్ అని ఉంది. from 9 it says quick view. You can just easily, this is like easy access screen. You can just click on this and jump to that particular operation. So I want to import certain delivery units. I can just click this import and get to that screen where I can start importing. Or I want to do replication of SLT. I can just click on this SLT, jump to that SLT screen and start trying to do replication. అట్లా ఒక్కొక్క దానికి ఒక్కొక్క అట్లా లింక్స్ ఇచ్చడం. That is called like you want to copy. Let's say all my HANA models are in one package. Let's say I want to do a mass copy of this models from one package to another package. Then I can use what? అట్లా దాని దగ్గరికి పోయి రైట్ క్లిక్ కొట్టే బదులు క్లిక్లో మాస్ కాపీ కొడితే అట్లా అన్ని ఈజీ యాక్సెస్ అన్నట్టు ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ క్విక్ వ్యూ అంతే. ఓకే, and that is it. And then you'll have something called various list అన్నట్టు. The usage ఏం లేదు, but let's say any object you select here, it does show me where this object is being used. For example, you have physical tables. On top of these physical tables, you start using create your models. Let's say given a table, I would like to see in which views it is being used, or I want to see those various list concept, then I can use this view called various list. Okay, and then so I'm saying press window prospect. I'm saying what reset prospect. By default gets all this. Now you have properties window, and any object you select, it does show me the properties of that object. If you select table, it shows me properties of table. If I select a view, it shows me properties of view. Then you will see a job log process. Suppose you run some query. Is it like a job, right? You're running some select statement which is going to read from table. It shows me progress of that query here. Or let's say you're activating certain view. So activation is one kind of activity. It does show me the status of the job. It has been successful activator, or it is still in progress, or it has failed. You can see that. And same way, this is job logs, and this is if you want to see the jobs which are in progress. See, generally, sometimes what you trigger some job, but it's taking some time. You want to kill that. So what you can do, you can go get into what? You can get into in process. You see the job running. You can last button to stop, and you can just click that to stop the job and interrupt that job. You can use this kind of screen, these options. Okay, this is your HANA modeler perspectives. So we'll go for a break, have tea, and is it okay for today? We'll take break and come down. We'll try to see same way perspective about HANA development. I'm not teaching you anything. If you're not understood, nothing to be worried. Again, screen చూపిస్తానన్నా నీకు ఒకటి అర్థమైతే చాలు. బ్లూ ను వైట్ కలర్ ఉందంటే అది చాలు. I'm not teaching you anything. I'm just taking you through the screen. ఏమేమి టూల్ ఎట్లుంది స్క్రీన్ ఏమేమి ఉంటాయని చూపిస్తాను అంతవరకు. ఇంకా నేను ఏం నేర్పిలేదు. Okay, so you're comfortable in the screen. That's what. Then you can always right click or double click anywhere you want. That's the point. మనం డబుల్ క్లిక్ రైట్ క్లిక్ కొడుతుంటాం. ఎక్కడ కొడుతానో తెలుసుకునే ముందు స్క్రీన్ అలవాటు అయితే ఎక్కడ కొడుతానో నీకు ఈజీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటాను అట్లా. నేను గబ్బని పోయి రైట్ క్లిక్ కొట్టినాను ఏడు కొడుతానో నీకు అర్థం కాదు. అంతే బ్లూ వైట్ కలర్ లో ఉందని స్క్రీన్ చూపిస్తాను అంతే ఏం చూపించడం. Okay, fine. So we'll just stop it. We'll just take break for 10 minutes and then we'll start. Okay, fine. Okay, thanks. Tea తాగొస్తాం పాప. When installed ECC on HANA, all scheme. I'll discuss on this after the break. Yeah, Vamsi, I'll discuss on this point after the break. Yeah, good question. Yeah, good question. Okay. Okay. See now, what we have done now is we are just looking at this scenario where we just had HANA server and we've used HANA Studio to get connected to this, right? But say I have a case like I've got BW system and I've got HANA database in the backend. I've got SAP BW. For this BW, I've got HANA as a backend database. So I've got BW running on HANA. So if you need to get connected to this, so I've got a BW server and HANA server is installed in separate database and both are being integrated like that as BW on HANA bus. So now if I need to do this to get connected to in the client system, yeah, to get connected to BW, you should have what? SAP GUI. Because to connect to SAP applications. If you need to work on your HANA database as it is, then you need to have what? HANA Studios. So in the client system, I need to install GUI and what? Studio together. Using GUI, I'll get connected to SAP application, and using Studio, I can get connected to the underlying HANA database of BW. Okay, boss. So now I'm trying to do this. No, then I'll answer this question. He was asking about SAP schema. We'll discuss on that. So we already have HANA Studio installed, boss. Yes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install my SAP GUI also. Same again, I've downloaded this GUI from marketplace and I have it here. I have this and I'm just unzipping it. I've downloaded this file from Service Marketplace, SAP GUI, and I'm unzipping it and then I'm installing this GUI. No. I'll run this setup. I want this GUI. That's enough. It takes others takes a lot of time. I don't know. So next step. Just run this GUI setup and then it installs your GUI. So my laptop is 16 GB RAM, so it's okay. It takes it fast. So I'm installing the SAP GUI 7.4. Okay, the latest, the core one. Done. Yeah. So if I install the GUI, then I should see. So we can open this SAP logon pad, right? I have nothing here. So I'll have to go about adding a system through which I can get connected. I've got BW, which is installed on HANA, so I'm going to get connected to that. I want that host server name for it. Okay, so how do I use this now? So open this logon pad. I'll just add my system. SAP BW on HANA system. And my server is this. I think instance number is 10. System ID is B78. Yeah. They'll give all these details and then I just connect. And then I have this. I start logging in. Let me just check. Correct yours. Or I'll do 922.168 1.62. So this is my BW server I'm connecting to where this Ebex and welcome 123. So this is my BW system bus, okay? And if I go to my systems and then if I see the status of this BW system, I see what is the database here. This tells me that this BW system, the underlying database for this BW is HANA, HDB, HANA database. And if I just get down, it gives me all the details of that HANA. What is SP901 and the server is Q. You remember the same server what we got connected. So what I'm doing is I've installed HANA server, which is being used as database for BW, as well as I'm just using it as core HANA database also. Okay. Now HDB SP901 and what is this here? Host name is this, and this is something called owner. SAP ABAP1 as a owner. Now, so with this name SAP ABAP1, you'll have a user in HANA database, and you'll also have a schema with that name, which will be referred as BW schema. So if you go to this, can I see the schema here? Catalog. Which schema you want to see? SAP ABAP1 is my schema. If I expand, you'll have a schema here, and again this will have tables and all the stuff. The name tables untai. All the data dictionary of my BW will be into that schema. For example, if I go to RS7 and let's say, okay, so I've got a DSO called okay, I've got cube called SICCON. So will this cube have F table and dimension tables in the backend? You know schema, right? It should have those tables, right? So can I see those tables in S11? Yes, but actually those tables must be created in which database? HANA. Within that HANA database, which schema it will have those tables? BW schema. So if I go to my schema tables, yeah, I'll try to filter for the tables SICCON. So it will show me all the tables which holds that name. What is the name of the fact table was? Yes, very C mistakes. SICCON. So I get to see the tables relevant to this. Wherever it's put to /BAC/FSIC. What is this? Fact table of my cube. So when I say BW schema, you will have BW application running on HANA database, and HANA database will have a BW schema. Whenever you basically do all your BW modeling, all the data dictionary of BW will be getting created into that schema. And whatever is in S11 is the same. Okay, boss. And then same way, suppose if you have ECC on HANA, you will have ECC schema. I don't have that now, but if you have ECC on HANA, when you log into ECC in the system status, you can see the owner. With the same owner name, you will see a schema which is referred as what? ECC HANA, ECC schema. Then all the tables of ECC, VBAC, Mara, all those whatever you could see in S11, you'll get to see that in the schema. That is what his question was. He was asking me when we install ECC system on HANA, all schema database tables will be. Should I create them again in HANA? Is what asking. You don't have to create. When you install ECC on HANA, your HANA database will have a schema which is referred as ECC will create a schema in HANA bus. And in that schema, you'll have all the SAP relevant tables or ECC relevant tables into that automatically. Those created this. You don't have to create again. All data dictionary of your application will be into that schema bus. Whether it is system tables or whether it is the tables, application tables, everything will be in that schema. ఇంకో పాయింట్ అట్లే అని కదా ఏమంటే టిల్ నౌ వెన్ వి ఇన్స్టాల్ BW on MS SQL Server, we never used to log into database at all. We were always logging into application. That's why we never concentrated on that. But now when we have BW on HANA, we want to leverage the flexibility, modeling flexibilities of BW and HANA or ECC and HANA bus. That's where we are trying to log into Studio and work on HANA database. Now look at this BW. I've got another BW server. And if you see what database is this, it is MS SQL database. And what is the one here? NS. Ante there should be some MS SQL server database where I should see that schema called NSP. Yes, you'll have it. But we were never interested to log in that case because we never wanted to do anything in SQL Server database. But now we're interested to do something in HANA, so we're connecting to the database. See, if I go to that MS SQL Server database, you'll see that schema. What is the schema? NSP. You'll have the tables relevant to that cube and all those stuff. But మనం ఎప్పుడు లాగిన్ అయ్యేటోళ్ళం కాదు. Even when you install BW on MS SQL Server database, it will have a BW schema in MS SQL Server database. We were never logged into this. So when a similar way, when you have your BW on HANA, your HANA will have the BW schema in it, and the schema will have all the BW tables, all the application tables of BW will be into that schema. Same way for ECC also. So Vamsi, is your question solved? That was his question. Does HANA have any planning model? It does not have any planning model, but when you have your BW on HANA, then all the planning applications like integrated planning functions can be executed into HANA database and improve the performance of planning application. But as it is, HANA will not support any planning. Okay, it's answered my question. Yeah, that's what. And then is the same for all? No. He's saying yes. Is a schema name SAP ABAP is same for every installation? No. It depends on when you're installing. You would configure a schema. It depends on you. Basically, when they're installing BW system, they'll specify a user. Actually, HANA like every user you create, it does create a schema with that name. So actually, if you see this BW system which is running on HANA, if you go to a T code DBA cockpit, if you go to DBA cockpit, you will see some primary database connection. The BW is an application sitting on HANA bus. So there should be some database connection between that. That's a primary data. If you get into this primary data, if you double click, you get to see a username as what? ABAP1. See, for this database connection, what is the username is creating? Yes, this is the username which is actually connecting your BW and HANA. So with the same username, it does create a schema, and that will be referred as BW schema, and all your BW tables will be into that schema by default. So you got BW HANA, I create a ODS, all active table, new table, change log tables gets created into that schema. You create a master table, P table, X table, your Y table, Q table, all those tables will be getting created into that schema alone. That is called as BW schema. Same way, if you have ECC HANA, you'll have ECC schema, and if you create some tables in SC11, it creates the tables in that ECC schema alone. You don't have to recreate those tables again. Okay, boss? Done. Okay, now we've seen about this modeler perspective. Now, by using HANA Studio, See, I'm logging into BW with GUI. I can do certain activities. There are certain modeling aspects of BW which can be done only from this Eclipse tool, only from this studio. So in that case, I'll have to configure my BW modeling. Now I go to prospect. Which prospect will I choose now? Because there are certain products like advanced DSO, OpenODS view, HANA based composite products. This can be created only from your BW modeling tools in HANA Studio. I can't create advanced DSO in RS in your BW modeling GUI. No. So what I'll do from HANA Studio, I'll go to what? BW modeling. There's nothing here. So what I'll do, I'll have to create drop down, I'll have to create what? BW project. Then it'll ask me the connection name. Before I do this, I should have installed my GUI. See, look at this. When I browse through, it is showing me an entry of what? Is this a system what I've added into my SAP GUI? So I should have installed SAP GUI and have a system connected in that. Then I can select the system from BW modeling. I'm going to connect to that system. 001. Cubex was my user, and next. You want to integrate HANA system. That is my BW system deal. I would like to integrate HANA system also to this, because in HANA modeler I already added my system, and I already had my HANA system. I can attach that HANA system to my BW system here. The BW is a 7.4 SP11 support pack. Okay. Then again, the old time loan type. That's okay. Just say finish. Log on failed antungani. See, what is this you see? Info products expand. You get to see all the info areas of BW. Studio first time కదా or I can show it here. I'll go to what? BW modeling. I already created my project. Okay. I just drop down and say what build. I just create. If I expand this project, I get to log in to BW. And the problem was here's some problem. Expand that info. More login aithandadi. Okay, see, you can create a BW BigQuery from here, composite provider, OpenODS view, advanced, all this can be created from here. For this license expert, we'll see. I'll collect this later, but you can create all this. Even you can also open your GUI from here also by using this BW project. You can open the GUI altogether. You can just see. I can open my SAP GUI, all this stuff. Either timing problem date, but I can open the SAP GUI from here. Yeah, same thing I can do with what? Let's say you want to work on ABAP, whether it is you want to work on ECC running on HANA or BW running on, even in BW, can you create ABAP programs? SC38 all, yeah, same. Let's say you get ABAP, you can connect your project. Let's say this is my ABAP project. Same way you'll create what? Drop down, you create what? ABAP project and get your system connected. You get in. And you can start. You can select the package, right click, and you can create any of this. Like you can create your dictionary, table, data in S11, whatever you create in tables, views, all those can be created from here. You can create WebDyn Pro source library. You can create your ABAP program, function model, ABAP class, include all this can be created from here. Like this, you can work on ABAP perspective or BW modeling. This login could be time with a licensing problem. I'll correct it tomorrow. Okay. Like this, you can leverage different perspectives. I can also get, then there's one more perspective called what? HANA. What is this? HANA development. Okay. So very good HANA perspective. This is how it looks. This HANA, you've seen about HANA modeler perspective. In BW modeling, you work on all BW modeling specific to BW. ABAP perspective and ABAP relevant for SAP application with respect to Eclipse you work in. Same way, we have another perspective called HANA development. And what is the purpose of this HANA development? We use it to develop your custom applications using HANA native framework. Like for front end, use SAP UI5, then OData services, then back end, you'll have the database. And now when you get into this, you'll have three views: systems view, then what? Repositories and what? And Project Explorer. In the systems view, basically you know about adding, you get connected to the system by adding a system here. And in the repositories, what you do is, see, in the repositories, you basically create something called workspaces. Actually, HANA native development allow untundante. For example, you would like to develop some HTML file. You create this HTML file in the local system first, then check in into my server, deploy it into the server. Always, any development you do, let's say you want to create some table, you'll have to create some design file in the local system, then publish this onto server, then the table gets created in the server. You'll have design time file and runtime file, both. Even if I delete the table and activate this design time file again the table is created. అంటే ఏం డెవలప్ చేసిన as part of HANA native development, anything you develop, you always create those files in the local system in your client, then publish it onto server. So in order to do this, what we have to do is, let's say I take the server repository, I take the server space and map it to my local folder and create all my files in my local folder. And when I say publish, it does go and save it to the server space. సర్వర్లో ఒక పాత్ తీసుకుని నా లోకల్ సిస్టమ్ పాత్ మ్యాపింగ్ పెడతాను. నా లోకల్ సిస్టంలో నా ఫైల్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఎప్పుడైతే సబ్మిట్ చేయను అనుకో, ఇది పోయి ఎక్కడ సబ్మిట్ అవుతుంది? సర్వర్ పాత్ ఆల్రెడీ మ్యాప్ చేసినా కూడా ఆ సర్వర్ పాత్లోకి సేవ్ అవుతుంది. దట్స్ ది మెయిన్ పాయింట్. So we create a workspace through which you can map your server path to your local path. You see, it's a development, expand this, and there's a lot of work, but I want to do this. In the desktop, I want to create one folder. Batch 8, native development. So this will be my local folder where I would like to place all my files and publish on the server. Now this folder, local folder, should be mapped to my server path. So how do I do this? I go to HANA Studio, right click on the system connection, say what, create repository workspace. Don't use default. I would like to use my own name, something batch 8 something. I'll say root space. What is my space? HANA native development. That's my space. I'm just creating workspace. This is my workspace. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll just go and this is our local path. Either package, I'll just take some package. This is a package. Package is what? It's a folder in my server path. Okay. Either a package, I'll just say package create this. I'll use that, or I'll just create. This is my test package. I'll say right click and say what? Check out. And when I do this, if I go to my local path, you will get the package called what? Test here. And whatever I save in this test folder, when I say publish, it get in the server. I already created a package in server. In the server, it gets stored into my package called test. Then I can get into my Project Explorer, start creating my project. Like, so I'll go get in, drop down, say create what? I'll create a because all HANA native development runs on what? XS engine. So we got to create what? XS project. Just say sub project. Proj 001 something. Don't use this. I would like to choose my own location. I'll create it what? Batch 8 in the test folder. Server lo test folder undi. Na danlo test folder map chestunna. So in the test folder I'm creating this project. Now this project is in local system now. Test to now batch 8 lo test 8 lo dot project creating. Now when I say save, activate this. Now this it creates a project in my server. Which folder in server? Test. That's it. That is what we're trying to do. You say right click and say team. What is this? Share project. You want to share with HANA repository, then just say finish. Now you see a cylinder symbol indicating the project is active. Then under this project you can just create subfolder, whatever you want. You can just create any of this. Right click new. You can create. I'll get to others. Then I'll get into HANA. If you want to get it up, you can create your databases, table, or HANA models. Yeah. If you get to modeler, you can create an analytical view, calculate. All this also can be created in the modeler. I can create in the application development. I can create UFI applications, HTML applications, OData services, JavaScript files. All this can be developed to develop your own custom applications. This will be done in HANA native development. Yeah, and if we'll see, but if you see the ones which we have developed for your previous batch, see we have created a project and we created application site and then we created databases, jobs, models. We have created services, we create UI HTML applications, widgets, then we create XMLs, then we've got lots of stuff created. If you want, you can basically run this, and this is the main page what we actually developed. And I can just show you something. And this is not active, that's no, not connected to system SP9. Now it is active and I can start running this application site. Bus. So this is an application we created, like where you have front end screen with some 4 text boxes. You enter some data and then click save. The data goes and sits into a HANA database. Like this is a like custom application what we've developed and deployed it on existing. So we should learn how do I develop this kind of applications as part of HANA native development. That is our focus. Okay, boss. So HANA modeler perspective for dealing with manipulating your database and HANA modeling and data provisioning, we deal it there. For developing your custom applications, you would use HANA native development. To work on BW modeling specific Eclipse, we use BW modeling tools. When you want to work specific on ABAP specific Eclipse modeling, then you use what? ABAP Prospector, OPO Prospector. Then if you want to work on administrator perspective, then you will say what? HANA administration perspective, and you deal with this administration and you do all kind of configurations. If you go to you remember we said something called save point. You'll have some save point intervals, 300 seconds. Look at this. For every 300 seconds, it does basically run the save point. And we discussed there's some configuration you set up for merging. You say merge dog. And you see auto merge decision function. It is basically they've set up some formula. This is actually a criteria for auto merge. You can also change it. Okay? And if this is smart merge, again smart merge also I said it will have some criteria. This is the criteria for smart merge. But all configurations, all the parameters what you want to set for the server will be done at the administration level. And in the landscape, you can see the hosts, all the servers, what has been available. And how many servers do we have? We got only one. You can have multiple servers, and then you'll have multiple services, multiple index. But how many index servers I've got? I've got only one. But if you got multiple hosts, I can have multiple index servers also. అట్లా చూడొచ్చు, ఓవర్వ్యూ చూడొచ్చు. Here you can see what version of your HANA server, then how much RAM is been used up, HANA use memory ఎంత ఉంది, CPU usage ఎంత ఉంది, disk usage ఎంత ఉంది. Disk, two things. What is the data volume, and I said there's something else, what? Log volume. In my disk, how much of space is being used for data volume and how much is used for, I said there's something called data volume and log volume. అలా చూడొచ్చు. And you can have configuration. You can have, for configure the tracing, SQL trace, database trace, user specific tracing, performance tracing. All this can be done at this administration level. And you can do some alerts. For example, I would like to do auto alerts. Whenever I have some process fails, it should trigger a mail for me. You can configure alerts here, like alert configure. Suppose you can say configure recipient for special checks. Now what kind of checks and what is the mail you want? RAM full అయినప్పుడు నాకు కావాలి అనుకో మెసేజ్. You can say some for CPU usage, and then you'll have RAM usage. What is memory usage of main memory of column store table? Select GSC. If I say add recipients and specify your email address or group, you'll be getting all the alerts to your email. You can configure those. That's all into your administration completely. At least you'll have different perspectives in Eclipse too. This is a tool we're going to work on to work in HANA Studio or HANA database. Whether it is modeling, application development, BW modeling, ABAP modeling, we use HANA Studio. Clear? So what we're going to do is, I have a setup like this completely. I've got BW on HANA system, okay, and I've got HANA database. I've got BODS, data services. I've got BOBI, ante what is reporting, business objects. I've got BODS, HANA database. I also have ECC application. I also have normal BW on MS SQL. And then I've got SLT configured, and I've got data provisioning agent. But I've got all this setup done, and I've got integration also done, and I've got leverage all this to demonstrate your complete course. And now still there are a lot of people who have got doubts. Do I need to learn BW? Don't worry about learning BW now. You can never become an expertise of it if you start learning now. There's no point in learning if you're not becoming an expertise. If you're expert on modeler, data provisioning and reporting, fine. You still have scope on getting jobs onto that also. Extra job కావాలని చెప్పి బిడ్ నేర్చుకుంటే అది కాదు ఇది కాకుండా అవుతుంది. You will never be an expert of HANA and you will never be an expert of bid. It's all expertise is needed. If you say I'm an expert of HANA modeling, yes, you're an expert of modeling. What's the point in? Definitely there will be some jobs. నీకోసం ఒక జాబ్ అయితే ఉంటుందన్న గ్యారంటీ. బట్ మెనీ ఆఫ్ దెమ్ ఫీల్ మోడలింగ్ ఏం సింపుల్ కదా, మోడలింగ్ దిగితే కానీ తెలుస్తుంది ఏంది మోడలింగ్. నేను నీకు సింపుల్గా నేర్పించచ్చు, డెప్త్ కూడా నేర్పించచ్చు. సింపుల్ గా జాయిన్ చేసి 2-3, if I just join 2-3 tables, select some columns and then do it is simple. But if you understand business and then keep doing more of options, then it becomes more complex. And many of them feel modeling is simple kada, will I get jobs on modeling? There are jobs explicitly who say we want modeler. ETL, BODS with HANA, you have lots of combinations, so you don't have to worry on learning on HANA or ABAP. If you already know BW, it's a plus, that's it. But don't get into that point as of now. Okay, boss. So we'll just stop it here, and tomorrow what I'm trying to do is, even tomorrow I don't want to teach you something, I just want to do some case study for HANA data models. I'll just take some source database, I'll use some BODS or SLT and replicate some tables into HANA. On those tables, I'll just create some simple virtual model and expose it and do some reporting on top. So you just get to know the complete cycle. And I know I'm not teaching you there. I'm just showing you how HANA can be leveraged as data model, just in the use case, cycle. Then we'll go into depth about each topic about building database, modeling, provisioning, and reporting. First ఒక cycle మొత్తం చూస్తే then you will know why I'm doing ETL, why I'm doing modeling, why I'm doing building database, why I'm doing reporting. Then if you understand the cycle, then I can just get into each topic in detail later. So tomorrow my focus would be we'll just take some scenario. We'll have some source OLTP database. We'll extract the data from this OLTP database leveraging BODS or I know you don't know BODS. Even నాకు తెలుసు. కొన్ని చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్దాం అంతే. బట్టి కొట్టింటాను. Just tomorrow is just like a movie, just to see ఎలా ఉంటుంది ఒకవేళ if you're doing provisioning, if you're doing modeling, if you're doing reporting, ఎలా ఉంటుంది just to get the feel of it అంతే. I'm not teaching you or ETL, I'm not teaching you about modeling, I'm not teaching you about it. Just showing you trailer అది correct meaning అంతే. Okay, boss, fine, yeah. So that is what we'll focus on tomorrow. Boss, fine. Thanks. We'll continue tomorrow. What is the difference between access ECC related tables through smart data and according to tables through? See, if you have installed ECC on HANA, then obviously all the tables of that ECC would be in the HANA schema bus. But let's say ECC is installed with MS SQL separately, and I've got HANA databases separate, then you don't find those ECC tables in HANA. You'll have to explicitly extract or replicate the data from ECC tables into HANA bus. If I have ECC installed on HANA, obviously you'll have ECC schema where all the ECC tables are in. But let's say ECC is installed with MS SQL database separately, and you've installed a separate HANA database, then you will not find any of these ECC tables. You have to explicitly do what? You use SLT or BODS and replicate all the tables into HANA. That's where the tables are coming. Otherwise, no. Yeah. Fine.